There you go. I'm ready to go. All right.
We live, we live.
Yeah, we live. We live.
Hey, let's do it.
Yeah, man. So the topic today is Easter eggs, man. What we talking about today, Kay?
All right, we going on this Easter egg hunt to find out why these eggs are so expensive, right?
Hmm.
Like, tell me. I mean, personally, I don't eat eggs, but I know a lot of people eat eggs, which is cool. It's whatever, right? But how much is I guess a carton of eggs right now?
I don't know. It's expensive, bro. I mean, I feel like I bought like a 12 pack of eggs the other day, and it was like $10 or something like that, or $13 or something crazy.
That's crazy. That is wild. That is wild. $13 for a carton of eggs.
You know, something like that. Something wild. I know that much. It's
And
it's,
how
it's
much come
crazy.
in a pack? Like 12, right?
Yeah, 12. Yeah,
That's over a dollar. That's a dollar per
that's
egg.
what the price is averaging right now. It's crazy because this year I saw somebody post about it the other day. I mean, today, matter of fact, like how this year the Easter egg hunt is a big thing on Easter time and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, that slowed down. There's not a lot of people Easter egg hunting this year with the price of eggs, man.
That's crazy. Why do you think that is though? In I guess in regards to everything being so expensive, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean at the end of the day, the cost of fun. Right now, the way things are going right now, the cost of fun is outrageous. Before it was like okay, you get a couple packs of eggs and do an Easter hunt. But now it's kind of like these big organizations or organizations that do the Easter egg hunts where they provided all these eggs and this type of stuff. It's just too expensive right now with the cost of everything. Something that might have been in the budget for $500, something like that. Things are double now versus before.
Yeah, I mean inflation, right? So
Hmm.
everything costs more, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of times we're not realizing just because we're going through life how expensive things are really getting. Something as simple as eggs, as you go to a grocery store, naturally, when back in the day you go to the grocery store and come out with like 6 to 10 bags, you probably spend about $200, and you come out with a good, maybe even more than that, maybe 10 to 15 bags worth of groceries. Now, to
Hmm.
go to the grocery store and spend $200, you only come out with like 2 bags.
Hmm.
Believe it or not, two maybe 3 bags if you're lucky.
No, you're not lying. I mean, matter of fact, I went to the store the other day, and I went to Stop and Shop, or not ShopRite. Matter of fact, went to ShopRite. I got some steak, eggs. Matter of fact, so I want to make steak and eggs. It was steak, a carton of eggs, 12 pack, some asparagus, and I bought some, I think, raspberries and blueberries, and it came out to like $48.
That's ridiculous.
It's so crazy. I didn't even need a bag, but I did get a bag,
You just
which I
held it in
think
your
was
hands
another
like, all right.
75 cents.
You just held it in your hands like, I'm good. I'm gonna walk out with this.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's crazy. I mean, for me, like I shop in increments, right?
Mm,
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people do. There's a weekly budget. People spend an X amount per week or per month on groceries, right? Um, I think the main thing is, when you're hunting for good prices, you got to check out. Don't be afraid to use coupons. What's on sale? Get those deals, because a lot of times, we overlook the deals that we could use, you know, and it's important to use those deals. Why? Because every dollar counts in the world, but especially here living in America, every single dollar counts, every single penny counts. And a lot we're not aware, we're not conscious of how much we're actually spending on these items,
mm,
and that's why, we're always wondering, like, damn, where does our money go? We get paid on Friday, by Monday we broke. Why is that? Because we're not paying attention to how much we're actually spending. We're not putting aside, the money to actually pay for these things, or in a sense of budgeting, because budgeting is a discipline, because it's tough. I get it. You still want to pay, your rent. You want to pay your mortgage. You want to, buy your groceries. You need to pay your car note. You need to pay all for all of these things, and plus you want to live and actually have a good time and enjoy your life, enjoy the fruits of your labor. But it's tough. So how do you actually fit those things in? A lot of times we don't plan properly. We always waiting for that next, or we're we want to spend so fast because we have this thing to where we have a fear of missing out on something, versus saying, you know what, let me not go to that party this weekend. I know this party gonna be lit. I know this party gonna be crazy, but you know what? Let me fall back. Let me save this money, so I can go on that vacation when July hits. You know what I'm saying? So you get what I'm saying? So like a lot of times we it's temporary satisfaction versus waiting for the long game and actually having that moment to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I think that's one of the biggest problems.
And it's crazy too. First off, you're doing better than most Americans. So guess what? These days, your check hitting Friday, you already broke Thursday. All that money's accounted for. A lot of Americans in a situation where you're getting paid Friday and your account's still negative $2 after everything comes out. Like that's the first thing. But now to your point, man, it's one of those things where, and ironically enough, April's financial literacy month. Ironically enough, where it's just like we got to get our finances order. The truth be told, what we got to start doing, a lot of people should start doing, should I say, is just really creating multiple streams of income. We live in a time now where working a 9 to 5 is probably just not enough. I mean, unless you're making 6 figures or more, and even if you're making $100,000 a year, you throw a kid or two in there, you're done. You know what I mean?
So from the time that it is 18, from the time that a kid is born until he or she turns 18, you've already spent over $200,000 on that kid.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense, especially these days. You look at it these days, man. When it comes down to it, these kids got everything. They got the tablet, they got their laptop, they got their cell phone, and this ain't any rinky-dink cell phone. These are top tier cell phones, the new iPhones, the new Droids with pixels. Babies got tablets now. Those are $1,000, $1,500 devices that they're carrying around. Then on top of that, to your point, the kid industry is the main industry because kids cost way more money. A lot of parents now are doing a lot more things. I mean, give you an example. We just went on a family trip. You seen, everybody came out to the Bronx Zoo.
Yeah.
And we were deep. It was like about 20 of us.
I didn't realize y'all was that deep. I didn't realize y'all was
I didn't realize until I seen the picture.
I was like, all right.
Yeah, I realized I seen the picture. But to your point, we all went and we got Sharifa, shout out to my sister. She set up a group discount code or whatever the case was. So the tickets would have been $45 a head if we didn't do a group package. So it ended up being about $30 a head. But 20 people, I'm not good at math, but that's like $600. Mind you, nothing costs less than $7, $8 in there itself. So the trip alone was $1,000. And maybe it's about 10 adults and then 10 kids. So you do the math. As simple as that. So the kid industry is a lot, man, where we got to create multiple streams of income because these days, like I said, a lot of people just can't live off a 9 to 5, man. You cannot. It's just not. It's not realistic. And if you do, you got to be on a super duper tight budget.
And it's
hard to budget now because everything swipe with a debit card. You don't even pay attention no more. You just swiping your debit card. Oh, it's $10. Oh, it's $5. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, it's I say that it depends on what you value and what you really care about, because at the end of the day, about 80% of Americans live in paycheck to paycheck, right?
Correct.
But I still feel like we always find a way to do the things that we want to do.
You're right.
We make room for it, even if technically we can't afford it. We still make room for it, right? And to a degree, there's nothing wrong with that. Because like I said, you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor, because life is short. You never know when it's going to be over for you. So you gotta still work hard, but you also gotta play hard too.
Absolutely.
But I think the main thing is of being conscious and aware of what we're spending money on. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of times, even let's take subscriptions, for example. How many subscriptions do we have? We have too many. I get lost in subscriptions.
It's crazy that you say that. Not even to cut you. I just saw a commercial the other day where statistically it shows that most people have about on average 4 subscriptions they're not even aware of that's coming out every month. And I'd be the first to tell you, listen, maybe about like 6 months ago I had to do a scrub of subscriptions. I had Netflix, I had Hulu, I had all this type of stuff, and half of it I wasn't watching. Disney Plus, all this other nonsense, and half of it I wasn't even aware, wasn't even watching. And I cut back like $60 worth of subscriptions that I didn't even think about. And it's so many random things you set up for. It was a random gym thing that I had on, and I see the commercial, like, you know, them little ads about little gym do this little workout that I was coming out for $8 a month. I forgot about it. You know what I mean? I did it for probably like 2 weeks and it was gone. So to your point, that's something that we do. And then even with our company, Legacy Builders, as you know, we're in finances. So we actually look at that type of stuff, like actually look at what are you spending money on, and we come up with solutions to make cutbacks. Where can you save $1 at? Because it's massive, man. Like you said, subscriptions, the kids for money, and things happen in life, man. I mean, with these new cars, it's always something going on with these new cars where you got to get this type of oil change, electrical problems. Everything costs way more money these days. So again, I keep stressing, like, you have to create multiple streams of income. I mean, right now, look what I'm wearing right now. You see, I'm advertising right now. This is my son's clothing line. You know what I mean? I'm a suntan man. I'm going back with a little hat. You know what I mean? So sell this on the side for him. You know, he's jumping on YouTube. You got to monetize everything, man.
What's the name of the clothing line for the people, man? What's the name? Talk.
Yeah, Suntan Man, man. It's Suntan Man. Okay. You know, so he finishing up the comic. He finished the comic for it already. You know. Nice. So like I said, it's on his little online store. So at the end of the day, it's a little random, multiple line of stream of income for him to have money for himself. You know, put away for college fund. But the point is, you can't just do a 9 to 5, bro. And even if you're working multiple jobs, it got to make sense too. Because guess what happens a lot of times? You get a lot of people out here where you working 2 jobs, but then you're working 60, 70-hour weeks, and that part-time job that you're working that extra 20 hours a week, guess what a lot of people doing? Because they don't have time to cook no more, because they don't have time to prepare, you're spending $30 a day, $50 a day on food for yourself, and then another $15 for the kids, $20 for the kids. So you got people out here spending $70 a day on food. So by the time you do your 20 hours, you only see like $200 out of that a week. So you can't just be, you know, you got to work harder, not smarter, too, at the same time.
Right. And now these days, you can't live off of one income. It's not even a real thing no more. Like, you know, you'll be consider lucky if you can handle things on your own, right? Most people can't, right? You has to have a 2 household income at minimum to even, you know, make things work. Now, you know, once again, you know, shout out to Legacy Builders. You know, we do real estate, life insurance, retirement planning, help people fix their credit, things of that nature. So, you know, when it comes to purchasing a home, let me ask you this. Do you feel like it's wise for 2 people to come together, even if they're not like together, like in a relationship? Or what do you say when it comes to like collaborating to purchasing a home?
Absolutely. This is the reality of the situation. This ain't the olden days where it's like, okay, it's the man working and it's the man's breadwinner, and she's just going to take me for half. You know what I mean? That's kind of an outdated model. It still happens at a high clip. Don't get it wrong. So once we get that fear out of there, that's all it is a fear. You must be living with people. Like if you're dating somebody, at the end of the day, you should be working together to get to the next level. Now, I'm not saying rush and move in with somebody immediately. I'm not saying that. But once you establish that you're serious, absolutely should be working together. Absolutely, both your names should be going on that house or that condo. Why? Because at the end of the day, unlike rent, you don't get nothing back when you pay your rent. Your landlord's not going to be like, hey, you was a good tenant, let me give you back $1,000 for the year. No. But if you two come together, you're in a relationship, and even if it goes south, even if it breaks up, at the end of the day, when it's said done, if that relationship lasted 3 years on the basic house, you're probably going to walk away like 50 grand in this particular market. So what does that mean? You split it halfway, you probably walk away about 25 grand each. So what breakup would be? I mean, outside of the I'm sad we broke up and outside that part, I like to cry with 25 grand in my hand when we sell this house together. Like, you know what I mean? Because we built something together. For you, a lot of you men and a lot of you women, like, stop breaking up in relationships and leaving broke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna love the memories. I'm gonna remember them. I'm gonna enjoy the good times and the bad times. But it's a lot better to leave with some money. And that's the goal, is to better each other at the end of the day. So we really want to put together to get to the next level. So to your point, yes, absolutely. And even to take it a step further, be quite honest with you, if you're not in a relationship, you should be partnering up with your family members, whoever you're with, your friends. The cost of living by yourself is not a real thing. Now, you can do it if you can truly afford it, but the stats show 75% of Americans cannot. So that means if you got 10 people, last time I checked, they don't make half peoples. So that means if it's 10 of y'all, 8 of you must stick together. It's only 2 of you out of the 10 of your group that can actually financially sustain to live by themselves from a straight math standpoint. So to your question, it goes even deeper. You gotta work with family, friends, put together, get this house. And you said something the other day, which was key, that a lot of people will go to work for your boss, put up with your manager's crap, your boss's crap, your company's crap, but you can't put up with the crap with your family members or your friends, and it'll be financially beneficial for you, and you make your own rules.
Yeah.
What are we doing, people? What are we doing?
Nah, it's real. It's real. And you know, I was thinking about too. So, as you know, as a homeowner, right? You're gonna obviously have some tenants when you're renting out your property. What happens when you want to sell that property? What happens to those tenants? You know, what happens in that situation?
Whew, that's I've been in that situation before. Listen,
like, listen. I'll take a sip of that
one. I mean, that's an even bigger point. To be quite honest with you, you know, on a serious note, but not joking note at the same time, it's all fun and games till your landlord comes to you and tell you, like, listen, I'm selling the house, because either it could be for various reasons. It could be, listen, I'm coming on financial hard times, or I'm looking to relocate, or I gotta consolidate, you know, sell this house and get some money so I could go live my life. And to your point, as that tenant, it's one of those things where now you got to pick up and leave. You got to figure it out. From a legal standpoint, you got 30 to 60 days, depending on the situation. But to pick up and start your life all over, imagine someone that has a child. At the end of the day, now they got to relocate schools and all that type of stuff. And depending on what time of year that happens, that's a hard pill to swallow, to pick your kid up in the middle of a semester. So to your point, when it comes to the tenant thing, it's a real thing, you know, and I am a landlord. So it's one of those things where you got landlords out there that they got to sell a house, they got to do what they got to do. And unfortunately, you got to tell them they got to go. And what do you do in that situation? And to your point, it's very similar to the job market where you can get fired from your job at will. And when you're a tenant, even if it's a building, you can get fired by your landlord at will too. When they're ready to sell a house or sell a building, you can get fired by your landlord. You can get fired by the homeowner and say, hey, you got to go. And imagine in this economy where we all know rent is sky high, where you're in a situation, your landlord comes to you, you've been living in this place for 5 years, 7 years, you are paying $1,200 a month for a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, you know, you just got up to that. So you started at $800 and now you're paying $1,200. But the going market is $1,600, $1,700, almost a third higher than what you're paying before. So imagine going from paying $1,200 a month to paying $1,700, $1,800 a month. That's crazy.
And you just paying rent. At that point, you could have been paying the mortgage at that point. Exactly. And to your point, overall, it's going to be the security is having your own. Because is it a lot more responsibility? Yes. Is it a lot more accountability on your end? Yes. But when it comes to, the end result of no one can technically take that away from you. As long as you're paying your mortgage, right? The bank is not going to take that away from you.
But listen, even to your point, not even to cut you, to your point, you just said something key. The bank can't take it away from you. But even in that situation, when you come in on hard times, let's compare rent to home ownership. You're coming in on hard times to rent. Hey, you get a strict landlord, especially these apartment buildings. You 10 days after the 10th day, hey, I'm starting the eviction process. You out of there in 60 days. No choice. You know what I mean? Some landlords will be lenient. Some listen, all right, I'll give you 30 more days, you're done. We're out of there. We're gonna start the process. But if you come up with the money, you're good. But we're gonna start the process. So if by the 40th day you have the money, you're good. But if you don't, hey, we gotta continue the process. And listen, you're gonna be out by the end of the month. Marshall's coming out putting your stuff on the street. Versus same situation. life happens. You're going through a hard time financially, whatever the case is. You're back on your mortgage. Guess what? Think about it. You know what I mean? I feel like that dude with that video. Yo, when you think about it, at the end of the day, the bank is lending you a lot of money. Most houses cost at least within 100,000 range to $1 million. So think about it. Because the bank is making so much money off of you, they're going to be willing to work with you. What do I mean by that? At the end of the day, you're back on mortgage. Hard times, you lost your job, whatever happened, you got sick, whatever the case is, you can put in a hardship claim where in a lot of circumstances, you can roll your mortgage back, especially since 2019, a year back of payments to get caught up. You can't do that with rent. You can't do that with your landlord. You can't be like, hey, Mr. Landlord, give me a year to get caught up. But with your mortgage, you have that option. Even before it goes into foreclosure status, you have options. You know what I mean? And that's massive. And even in the worst case scenario, you exhausted all your options with the mortgage and you have to sell that house. As long as you sell that house before that foreclosure process comes through, you get that cash or equity that you have in the house. Meaning that if you were a homeowner for 5 years and you built up $70,000, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I got to start over. I can't afford a mortgage. But guess what? I paid off. They're going to take their balance, the back balance that you owe on the mortgage. They're going to pay off the balance that you already owe. So if you had a house for $300,000, you bought $300,000, the bill was $240,000, but you have $10,000 worth of back mortgage. You're at $250,000. They say, okay, you sold it. You walk away with your $50,000. Come on, like what are we talking about here, people?
Yeah.
And people, what get me, and I'm gonna let you go to a second. What get me, just to finish the thought, is a lot of people say I'm not meant to be a homeowner. It's not for me. It's too much stress, too much worry. It's like, get a condo. Stop playing out here. Get a condo. You get people all the time where it's like, I'm showing them apartments. I'm like, listen, you're paying $1,700 a month for rent. The landlord wants you to have an 850 credit score. Wants you to make 18,000 times the monthly rent. I stayed his apartment since 1992. And you live in that life instead of just going with the condo. It's the same exact space, and the only person you have to follow is the condo association rules, not the landlord rules. Come on, people, what we out here doing? And the mortgage is the same price. And better yet, if you don't want to live in that apartment after a year or two, that condo in a year or two, that same unit, depending on the area you're at, this was Connecticut, for example, that same unit in a certain place could be rented for $2,200, $2,300. So you got an extra $800. You rent it out a month to go live in another place that you want. What are we doing out here? What are we doing out here? I don't know. I don't got all the answers.
Nah, I respect it, man, because it's not about right now. It's about the long game. Because when I'm thinking about, because we about to touch our 40s, right? So imagine 20 to 30 years from now, somebody being able to kick me out when I'm 65, 70 years old. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not about right now. We could always pivot, maneuver. We could always do those things. But imagine 20 to 30 years from now. And I think a lot of times, I was talking about this earlier. A lot of times we don't think about the future. And that's what this is about, setting up for the future. Imagine being kicked out at 65 years old. It's not, you're not moving the same. Your mental is not the same at that point. How do you even do that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. To your point, Kay, you can't. That's the truth. So, and that's what's happening in the economy right now. That's when you see the person damn near with a what you call that thing on? They put in their mask. I mean, I don't even want to say the wrong word. Sound ignorant, infibulated. What do you call it? But working at Walmart at 78 years old, checking people out. That's why you see that, because of that reason. People are working just to survive, just to pay for their medical insurance. So to your point, that's why it's so important, bro. To your point, it's really that type of party out here in this economy, where when you're 65, 70, you're not younger. You're not like us where, first off, I'm still in my 30s, so stop talking about that. You know what I mean? I don't want to talk about being 40 soon. It's right around the corner. But anyway, don't worry. Hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But the point is, though, you could bounce back. You could get another job. You could do a little bit of overtime. But the older you get, it's the harder for your body to maintain and do those type of things. And that's what people don't realize. To your point, it's not about today. It's about tomorrow. It's about next week. It's about next year. It's about 5 years. It's about 10 years from now. You know what I mean? And that's what people got to start getting prepared for. And that's what we do at Legacy Builders here. You know, first off, everybody that's watching the show, go in and go to the website and do a service. We do consultations where we'll go over this type of stuff with you. We'll help you plan for today, tomorrow, and your future and build your legacy, hence the name Legacy Builders. It's one of those things where we help you with everything because these things are important. I mean, even down to the life insurance piece where it's not old school, boring life insurance where you got to die to get the money. No, you can make gains on it just like you have a 401k, just like the stock market. It's attached to the index market where it's people making money off life insurance. 30% of billionaires' money come from life insurance. You need to get that type of policy. It's so many ways out here that people don't realize that you can use on your own that's right in front of your face. You got a 401k, you got a 9 to 5. There's so many ways and so many resources that we have that we're not utilizing. A lot of people don't know how their 401k works. A lot of people don't know a life insurance policy is affordable. It might be only $70 a month. And 30 years from now, you could borrow $150,000. A lot of people don't know that. Right. You know, they think it's something unaffordable and they can't do it. And we help with that type of stuff because it's that serious now. Like people cannot, you know, as people, we can't keep playing like it's not serious right now. Absolutely. The United States of America is in trillions of dollars of debt. What does that mean for the average person? Like I said, so yeah.
And also we got to establish what are our wants, what are our needs, right? And that's why what we call a financial analysis. It brings the awareness to what you're spending money on, what your monthly expenses are, what are the things that you can cut back from, you know, to save a couple dollars, to invest some of that money so your money can make money, you know. So these are the things that we do. And it's important to identify that and actually execute that type of plan. Reason being is because a lot of times it's not about, you know, our monthly expenses, because we could actually see that. That's tangible. We could see that on a monthly basis. What about the emergency funds? What about the things that we don't see? You get what I'm saying? And that's the thing that, you know, I like to highlight a lot of times because we are focused on the day-to-day. So we're to a degree prepared for the day-to-day. However, we're not thinking about the 1 or 2 things that can go wrong. And do you have the money for that? Because you could have the exact amount that you need, but then what happens when an emergency does happen? What I remember a mentor of mine told me this one time, and it blew my mind. He said, what kind of problem could you solve? Could you solve a $10 problem? Could you solve a $50 problem, a $100 problem, a $1,000 problem, a $5,000, a $10,000 problem? What problem could you solve? Especially in an emergency. And I thought about
like to that point, I'm gonna go ahead and pour this drink right here because that's what people do these days when they come across those problems. All jokes aside, they pour that drink and they use recreational things. You know what I mean? And all jokes aside, it's crazy because anxiety is at an all-time high. In all seriousness, anxiety is at an all-time high. A lot of people drink away their worries or smoke away their worries. To be quite honest with you, that's why vaping, smoking, all that type of stuff. Like, listen, anxiety is so high right now. People are smoking everywhere. I done seen scenarios where don't lie, I was showing somebody a house one time, right? And this is like last year. I don't want to say one time. This is like recent time. Like last year, showing somebody in a house, whatever the case was. You know, I'm down to earth person, regular person. You know, I may wear my shirt and tie, but you know where we come from.
Right.
So anyway, showing the person in the house, whatever the case is, and they were looking at the stuff that needs to be done on the house. Very educated person, but a little rough around the edges, to say the least. And so they're looking at the stuff that needs to be done on the house and all this type of stuff. They proceed, because the pressure got to them, anxiety, proceed to pull out a joint and take 2 pulls in the middle of me showing the house. Showing them the house. Now, granted, the house was vacant, empty, nobody's there, but I was in complete shock. I was like, bro, what are you doing right now? Said, nah, man, it's stressing me. I got to how to take 2 pulls real quick.
Like, don't you know I can see you?
So, to your point, that's what a lot of people do is drink away their worries and smoke away their worries. But, you know, at the end of the day, the real solution is coming up with a plan and trying to figure these things out. Because to your point, statistically, the data shows, and this is real facts, and a lot of people watching this call, we all know it's true. Most people, 80% of people they show, can't solve $1,000 problem. So if something goes wrong, you need new tires for your car, or something happens that costs over $1,000, literally most Americans can't afford to take care of that $1,000 problems. That's crazy work. But it's real. It's real.
Yeah.
Imagine you needing new car tires and you driving down the street because you can't afford to put $1,000 tires on there. And your credit is not good enough to get, financing. And that's why credit comes into role. But imagine that person. You're now driving ball tires, risking your life. God forbid it rains. Run off the road, kill yourself, or God forbid, kill your family members. Because you can afford to get tires for $1,000. That's how serious the economy is. And that's how serious people need to take getting their finances in order. You know what I mean? We see all these TikTok videos dancing out, doing this, having a good time. And life, you do want to have a good time because you don't want to live life and live with regrets. But people, we got to do better for ourselves, for our families.
Get it together.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. So as we come into a close, man, let people know where they can find us at, man.
Yeah, I mean, you see the website on the bottom is www.legacybuildersus.com. So if you're watching this live or watching this podcast or even on a replay, go to the website at the very least. We got all the information. It's a one-stop shop. We handle all finances. We do real estate. We do credit restoration. We don't fix credit. We help restore your credit. We do credit restoration. We do life insurance. We do retirement planning. We do Roths. We do it all. We do everything finances. If anybody can get you back in the position you need to be, it's us. You don't need to make $1 million. If you make $15 an hour, call us. You make $10 an hour, we'll figure something out. Call us. Definitely, if you make $100 an hour, definitely call us too. We'll tell you what to do with that money. But the point is, just go ahead and call us, book an appointment. We'll have a 30-minute consultation to kind of go over your finances and see where you're at and where we can help. And we'll make a plan based off that and get you to where you need to be.
We're going to help you hunt for those right prices. We're going to help make sure you get your finances in order. We're going to do that financial analysis, help you be aware of what's coming in, what's going out, and we're going to put you in a better position financially. But if nothing else, man, Mr. Life on a check-in. We have Ra here. And, yeah. Talk
Definitely.
to you. Yeah, have a good one.
All right, everybody.